Welcome to the podcast of Awcsg. Have here in our podcast show today the coaches of the three teams and also the chairman of the coaches. Let me briefly introduce them. I have Coach Earl, who is the coach of the American Titans. Welcome, Coach Earl.
Thanks for having me.
All right. I have Coach Cheetah, who is coach of the Patriots team. Welcome to the podcast show, Cheetah.
Yes, Ganesh, thanks for having me.
Right. I have Coach Sindhu joining our show as the coach of Freedom Players. Welcome to the show, Sindhu.
Thanks, Ganesh. Lovely to be here. Looking forward to a good conversation.
Very good. Last but not the least, I have Coach C.D. Thompson, who is the chairman of the coaches committee. Welcome to the show, C.D. sir.
Thank you so much, GK sir, and absolutely an honor and privilege to be sitting in such august company and joining the coaches here. Thank you so much.
All of you are players, actually. You have played the cricket at the highest level to become coaches here. I'm going to first take my first stab at Sindhu here to put you on a spot. How did you get into coaching?
Well, I think when compared to the other three coaches here, it's pretty new to me. So I've recently started coaching the team on a full-time basis. Taking over coaching it's kind of pretty gradual or organic move from playing into coaching. I have been playing with these girls for over 8-ish years, played cricket in India for almost 10-ish years. So I think it was just logical enough for me to kind of move over to giving back to the players by still being on the field and playing a different role as a coach. Yes, pretty new to me, and I think there will be times that, I have to know the difference between a player and a coach, but looking forward to learning that with the other coaches over here and still making an impact with the team that I'm coaching.
Fantastic. I'm going to ask you, which is better of the two, being a player or being a coach?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Well, as a coach, I've realized that nothing is in your control. You have to trust your team to be able to go out there. You could give them the plans, but the execution just stops there. And at the end of it, you come back and you review their performance, not in the sense of wanting to blame, but at least in the sense to make improvement in the next tournament or the next games. But I think there's only so much you can do from outside. I think understanding that you cannot control everything as a coach. I think that's a learning. That's something that I'm still learning as a coach. I don't know which I like better though, yet.
Okay, all right. Welcome to the coaching, Sindhu. Earl has a little one next to him. I'm not sure how old is he. Introduce us to him first, Earl.
This one is Baka and the other one is Chewie. So, they're named after Star Wars, Chewie Baka. Okay, well, I find playing was a lot easier than coaching. And just to piggyback on what Coach Sin said is that no matter how detailed a plan you come up with, sometimes the players are not able to execute the plan, and sometimes it's not their fault. It just so happens that they're not able to do it. So all you can do is sit there, wait until the game is over, and then when they come out, you try to tweak the plan and see if it will work the next time. So I find playing to be a lot easier.
Fantastic. What got you into coaching, Earl?
When I was playing, my teammates would always tell me, Coach, you're always advising, I think you should become a coach. So, and when I left Jamaica and I came here, I finished my playing days here. I figured, okay, what else can I do? So I ended up coaching.
Very good. We now have a coach here in form of Earl. Thanks for that decision that you made to give time for cricket. Coach Cheetah, how did you get into coaching? And if I have to ask, which is the easier of the two, playing or coaching?
I think it's tough to say, but obviously they're two different, I think, challenges. Playing, I thought, was relatively easier, but coaching posed a different challenge. Because as both coaches mentioned it since and Earl, is that it's easy for us to plan and kind of sort of come up with a strategy for the game, working with the team leadership. But when it comes to the execution, it's the players and the captains who are the one who's running the show at the ground. So it's very important for us as a coaches to give them that confidence to go ahead and execute the plan, just follow the process and not worry about the result. What I felt is sometimes the team is too focused on the outcome, the result. And that actually put some unnecessary pressure on the players and the leadership as well. But if we just let them focus on the process, and their goal should be just to execute the game plan, because nobody has control over the outcome. And
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing your experience, Cheetah. Now coming to Coach Siri, what got you into coaching?
Most importantly, I think after I stopped playing cricket, I was searching for something active to do. I started off as an umpire and found it to be too sedate a role. I couldn't do anything on the field. From so then I said, okay, let me do something else. Then I moved into performance analysis. So went to BCCI, did one of the first pioneers in performance analysis back at the BCCI in 2006, and then I found that was to be even more sedate because I'm sitting behind a system the whole day. Then I realized that if I have a whistle in my mouth and I can keep blowing it, people sort of listen to me. So then I went and did I spent a whole year learning fitness and training and all that particular stuff. And but then again, I realized once the game starts, nobody's looking at me. So I said, yeah, this is also doesn't suit my role. Finally, I got into coaching, I think primarily because I love the interaction with people. And to your question, whether coaching is harder or playing days were harder, it's like, I would say coaching is like having a kid at home. You can tell them whatever you want to tell them, but they're not going to listen to you.
That's a great analogy.
So that's how they do what they want to do. You just get onto the road and hope for the best. So yeah, that I hope that sums it up.
I have been coached
Excellent.
with all of you all here, so I don't know.
Now I'm going to ask about AWCSG and how this tournament makes it any different and what do you expect from this tournament. I'm going to go with Sindhu here. Sindhu, go ahead.
Yeah, and I think what I like about the structure of the tournament, I know I don't think it's public yet, but I think the special rules that we've come up with in the tournament is going to make the players think a lot more rather than just playing the game for just watch the ball and hit the ball. This is now going to make them think and want to play in a certain way. All of those bonus points just gives it to, and I was just talking to my team about it, that you will be in the game even if you lose the game. Like you're still in the tournament even if you lose the tournament because of all of these bonus points, which makes them want to play the game towards all the way to the end and wanting to make a result out of it by just adding points, right? So I think it changes the way, in a way that we've built out very intentionally. We are making the players, as they're playing, be it 2 overs or 5 overs or 10 overs, that there is an intention of what you want to get out of that particular period that you're playing, that makes them want to think and think for not just for themselves but for the team. And I think that's very important. We're building on the game awareness, very different to what they're used to playing in other tournaments, and I think we're opening up their minds to just play in a different format and challenge themselves in different situations. So I think that's what I'm looking forward to, seeing how people will be adapting to these situations. They might not get it right in the first time, but understanding that, this is a way to play cricket. So when you go away from here to go to an international tournament, we've already challenged them enough that when they now face other bowlers or other oppositions, we have challenged them enough that they feel confident to go out there and execute and feel confident about failing as well, because they've already failed here once, but we're giving them an opportunity and that platform. So I think that's what is exciting for me, to see what comes around in those 2.5 days here.
Fantastic. Oh, what are your plans?
Yes, I think it will be a good learning tool for them. It will help to widen their horizon, their awareness, so to speak, so that when they go to the next level, they will not have to be led all the time. They will be one step ahead of the game, so to speak, and will make it easier for the captains and the coaches to work with them because they will have a better understanding of what's necessary, what needs to be done. I find that if you have more people on the field who are aware, who can take up leadership roles, it definitely helps the captain out there on the field because from time to time, the captain will be under pressure. So the captain will definitely need somebody to give a hand, to support them in these areas.
Very good. Cheetah?
yeah, I think for me, I'm glad that I got in with a lot of youngsters, up rising star players. And that for me, the number one thing is for players to understand their role and being able to then execute their role for the game plan. I feel like that will really help these players understand their strength and as well as the area they can improve on. Because quite often we have the good news is that most of the players we have in the squad are all rounders. When you walk into the game, you know that you will have a primary role to play, and then a secondary role. So primary role is what you should be focusing on and trying to execute that role to your best. And so those are the things that we want to make sure that we're trying to get this understand to all the players and make sure that they understand how to execute the role as per the game plan.
Thank you. Coach Siri, there are some rules which are oriented about making the game go a little faster. Being a chairman of the coaching committee, can you talk us about some of these things and what makes this tournament going to be unique in terms of the playing conditions?
Absolutely, GK. I think my first call was with Amir when he reached out and he says, we are organizing this tournament and we want to make it different from most of the general tournaments. And what is your thoughts or what can we do about it? So, having been, I would say, in a very short period that I was in the US and over a period of 6 years, and the cricket that I observed and having worked with a couple of girls very closely, I have realized that, their lack of exposure, I would say, not say lack of intent, lack of skill, I thought it was lack of exposure in crunch situations where games that we could have crossed the line. I thought, we stayed back and I was lucky enough to travel to a couple of World Cups with them as an observer on the sidelines. And so the whole intent was to take the best of what's happening at the Women's Premier League in India or the Big Bash in Australia for the women, the Fairbanks Trophy, try to combine a set of rules, to try to break the game down into different, I would say, sections of it, like your power plays and your middle overs and your slog phases, and incentivize them to win those particular phases, because the game absolutely is either won or lost, like we see in the current IPL that's happening now. Teams are scoring 80 or 90 in the first six and setting it up, right? So you can't have players going in and facing 20 dot balls in your first 6 overs. So that was the whole intent was, can we break it down into smaller parts? Can we get them to winning certain situations in that game from both sides, incentivizing the bowlers for bowling dot balls, incentivizing the batsmen for hitting boundaries, incentivizing the fielders for creating run out opportunities or getting run outs rather, or taking catches and stuff like that, and put it in a sort of a format. I agree that the only thing permanent is resistance to change. So you will find that resistance to change happening from all quarters, right? But the way forward, my personal belief of what experience I've had back home in India and back in the US is that if we keep playing the way we are over the years, and if we keep giving the girls the same exposure, every year we are going to come back and say that we missed going to the World Cup if we had won one game here or one game there. And you don't want those girls to be having those experiences. And this is I guess we are not going to get everything right the first time around or even the second time around, but it's an intent in
But
that
I'm going to
direction.
follow up with another question. How do you coach a player to take risks in the field with a fearless mindset? I'm going to start off with Earl here. How do you coach a player to take a bold step in the middle?
Allowing them the freedom, try to encourage them, try to boost their confidence in such a way that they're not worried about failure. Too many players, especially when they go out to bat, they're thinking about, am I going to get out before I score, things like that, before I put up a big total. So you need to try your best to eliminate that from their thought process.
Going to pose a question to Sindhu. I know you were a captain also in the middle, leading the team for a long time in the US and also now taking up your role as a coach. How do you train your players to take that fearless step?
Well, I think there's two things to it, right? I completely agree with Earl. Is there's just backing them if they have the technical abilities. So first is making sure that they have the technical ability to take those risks, adding those shots. That's the work they do pre-season or post-season during their off-season. But once they have built that technicalities, I think as a support staff and the coach, it's just identifying that they have that technical capabilities and then backing them, knowing that they might fail a few times, but letting them know that, yes, it doesn't matter even if you fail, we will back you. And for them to be able to trust their decision making process, it's going to take time, but I think first is identifying they have the technical abilities. We should be able to encourage people who have the technical abilities. Who do not have, let them know to build that up as well. So it's the right kind of opportunities. I think I keep telling this multiple times. It's not equal opportunities. It's about right opportunities. It's about
Fantastic.
giving the right opportunities to the players where they deserve to be playing. So I think that's my bottom line there.
Thank you, Sindhu. Cheetah, you will have a team that you'll be coaching. So how are you going to instill that attitude within your team?
Yeah, I think as Earl and since mentioned it, that's spot on in terms of we gotta back the players, allow them to fail, give them the freedom to express themselves and play with a fearless mind. And especially I can tell, like, especially in T20 game, we want them to take a risk, and they know that a bigger the risk is, bigger the reward is. So especially like playing in a power play, you know that you have to take the aerial route, you have to hit it over 30 yards. So us, I think as coaches, is to give them that freedom to say, hey, if you get out first ball, that's fine, because that was expected. That's what we wanted to do. Play that shot in the air. If you get out, that's fine. If you don't, you score runs for the team. And you want to give them enough games to kind of play in that role as well. Quite often I've seen in the past that if we switch the players too early in the lineup, it kind of shakes their confidence. So if you identify the players today, you are the one who's going to play in the power play, and you are the one who's going to play in the middle overs or in the slog overs. You know that what risk you'll be taking and what the reward will come with it. So yeah, I think it's just kind of backing them and giving them that confidence to go out and execute their role.
Yeah, that's you said it right. Their power to execute what they want and the team management backing their skills is what is most required for the players. So they'll be able to. Coach Siri, I think we have here with the teams having multitude of experiences. Some national players, some under 19 players, some domestic talents are going to be there. How do you expect your coaches to bridge the gap, and how they can get the best out of each one of them?
Okay, a great question. I think with the experience of the coaching panel that I can see, I'm pretty sure that they will do an amazing job. I think the most important thing you look for when you're coaching a team, in my experience, is that are you matching their skills to the role that they are, that they're going to play in the game. I think that's one of the prime things. Number two is, do you as a player, as a coach, are able to give them enough opportunities to succeed, right, in that particular role, so that they build some familiarity with that role, and they're also able to go out there and, I would say, get comfortable in that role and keep doing it multiple times, so that they build up the, it's not only the skill part, it's also the mental part of it, the tactical part of that particular role. Because they need to keep doing that again and again to get better at it. So that's about it, I would say, at this moment. Yeah.
Thank you. Beyond scoreboard, what specific traits are you looking to instill to the players who are going to be playing part of the team here? Sindhu.
It's a really quick tournament. It's 2.5 days. I think if we can, at the end of the tournament, if all of the girls are able to read the situation, gain awareness of the game, and are able to learn that in that 2.5 days, I think that will be a win. Yes, and obviously looking for any other players who'll put their hand up for leadership qualities, to which Earl kind of talked about, right? I think those are two. It's just 2.5 days. So if we are able to check off like a couple of boxes of like reading the game, I think that's number one. That's, we've said, like Coach CD talked about, not having the enough exposure to actually read the game. I think if we can build that, and we see a couple of leadership qualities and leadership players there, leaders that we can identify, I think that will be a great win.
Fair answer. Lovely answer, Sindhu. Cheetah, what do you look at your players, and what is that you want to accomplish?
I think as I shared with the team, the expectation is really just about why I want to see them going on and have a freedom of expressing themselves, being able to execute the game plan to the best of their ability. And then, if the result comes our way, that's fine. If it doesn't, at least I want them to take away from this tournament is like, how much of their role that they are able to execute in the game, and what they did well in the tournament and what they could have done better to help the team win. So I think that to me is the biggest takeaway. If you can give them this platform to learn the game better and understand their role better, I think that will be the best thing in get on.
Fantastic. Oh, if there's one piece of advice you would give to a player who is just going to walk in, what would that advice be?
Well, if it's a brand new player, I would tell her, he or she, once you're selected, The selectors must have seen something in you. Your coaches must have seen something in you. So do not come in with any self doubt.
Fantastic.
In addition to that, what I would like to add, I don't know if we've discussed that yet, but as coaches on this short trip here, we should collaborate. Whereas if I miss something at the end of the day, another coach should say, I would like to see that player again in another role, so to speak. Because I may think that the player suits this role, but the other coaches may think, okay, the player may fit in another role. We can exchange ideas like that so that we get the best out of it. We don't miss out on anything.
Great point, Earl. Sindhu?
So I think, which I've actually kind of had that conversation with the team here last couple of days, is if you don't know the role that you're walking in and what you need to play, ask. And I think the first thing that you want to, the more you say I don't know, is the more you learn. So I think I've told them that if that should be your first question. So when you're walking in, if I can ask you, do you know what you need to do right now? And if you know it, that's great. If you don't know, ask. So I think that's the number one thing. You just ask if you don't know what you need to do. That's when you learn the most. So I would be asking them a question rather than telling them do you know what you need to do at this point of time.
Great perspective, Sindhu. Love your answer. And to Cheetah, what was that you would want to say to a player who's just going to walk in?
I think we have a lot of new players in the team. They're probably playing first time with each other. So my message to them last week was that, take this as an opportunity to not only, learn the game and being able to execute your role, but also learn from each other. Because you have a lot of other players in the team who have played at the international platform level. Try to pick their brain.
Coach Siri, I know you have a different role being the chairman. So I'm going to ask you a hypothetical question. 5 years from now, when people look at the formation of AWCSG, what do you want them to say as the greatest impact? What do you have it in your vision plan?
Yeah, I would say the impact of this particular tournament and as they go forward is the ability of the women's team to go out there, first and foremost, qualify for a World Cup, play a World Cup, and stamp themselves on the world map. And hopefully, we have a few players playing in the Women's Premier League as well. That's the intent of this whole thing, and it's going to take time. I'm saying it's going to take time. It's going to have a lot of ups and downs. There's going to be a lot of resistance to it, but I think that's what I basically look at this tournament for.
Good, lofty goals set by you for the entire management team here of coaches here. Coach Cheetah, sorry that we lost you while you were trying to explain. The question was, what would be your advice when a player would want to go in? So follow up with your response.
Yeah, so I think what the key is that my message to the team was that especially we have a squad with a lot of new players and they're playing first time at a tournament at this level. My message to them is that, don't be nervous. You go out there and express yourself, no fear, but take this as an opportunity to learn from the other players. Because we do have some players in the team who have played and represented the country, whether it's in the Under-19 World Cup or in the senior national women team. And then me being I coached the national team in the past. So take the advantage from the leadership, make the best out of it, and just, goal would be to just kind of back them out there. And my message to the senior team was, you have a lot of junior players around it. Make sure that you give them the support and give them the confidence as well, whether it's off the field or on the field.
Thank you. One final question before we end the show here. What do you think of AWCSG? Quickly. Coach City.
I think it's a wonderful platform, honestly speaking, to have some top coaches guiding the kids, to have the right intent behind the platform, the administrators, pushing and pulling. I think the USA Cricket is blessed to have people who are ready to go out of the way on an honorary basis and keep working behind the scenes. And and I'm privileged to be part of this.
Sindhu?
Yeah, I think +1 to everything Coach CD said. I think it's a great platform. I've already heard from a lot of other players who are not part of this tournament wanting to be part of it. And I think that already speaks volumes of what you guys are trying to put together. If I can add a little bit more, I think to what Coach CD had in part, 5 years, where do you want to see? And I think what we are missing in USA Cricket today or in the community is having a center of excellence, right, where you're actually building the bench and they're ready to take on. I think if we can build that out, I'm not saying you guys have to do that, but I think that is what is missing. There is a gap there, and if we can fill that gap in either ways or some ways that we can fill that gap, I think that would be great. I think there are many players who want to be part of this. So that speaks volume for what we bring in, but hopefully we can live up to those expectations and build from here, and not just 3 teams and just 2.5 days, but continue to do it here as a platform for a number of years.
I think there's a lot of heads been put together to build this platform. I can tell you, whenever I talk to the players who are part of the AWCG or even those who are outside now, want to get into this platform at some point, there is a great feedback from them. I think, as since mentioned earlier on the call, is that this is the kind of platform that I feel like we were missing in the USA women cricket for a long time. We needed to have a sort of I guess the COE kind of stuff, center of excellence, as since mentioned it, where we have the talent pool of players across the country, where they can continue to work with the set of coaches over a long period of time who can help them, guide them, and mentor them to get better. And I think that's something that's been missing in the USA women's cricket ecosystem for a long time, and AWCG definitely kind of fills that gap. So I'm just honored to be part of this platform, and I think we have a great coaching team led by Coach CD. I think we'll just, as Coach Earl mentioned earlier, I think it's, and this is something that we are not looking to work as coaches in isolation. We are looking to work as a team to kind of help the team, help the girls. I think that's our focus is to help the women's cricket in this country to grow.
That's a very healthy way to look at it. Coach Siri, finally, I'm just going to close it off here with any thoughts.
Yeah, once again, I would say the tournament is absolutely privileged to have people like Chita, Earl, and Sindhu, volunteering their time. And with the experience that they bring, I'm sure, and they will guide the committee in the right way. Their inputs after the tournament will come in where we have to fine tune. And for me, I personally think it's a learning experience and a similar learning experience that will be created for the girls who are taking part.
And for viewers out there, don't forget we have our inaugural Premier T20 tournament happening in Florida from April 3rd to April 5th. If you are anywhere near, don't forget to come and watch all the wonderful cricketing talent playing. So don't forget to subscribe to Awcsg USA cricket handle, and we should have all the action streamed to you live. Can't wait for the tournament to start and for the girls to perform. With this, signing off from the podcast, this is your host GK, and we'll see you in the next podcast. Thank you. Have a good one.
Bye bye.
Thanks, Shige.